Every person, every living thing has the ability to make choices. Even something as simple as whether to walk on the left or the right side of a path is a choice. So let's just accept this idea. Let's just kind of put it aside. Okay, there's this idea that technology is causing society to become more antisocial. It's like this worldwide epidemic, a fear that people will look increasingly more at their phones and less at the world, like a plague or a virus, almost as if there is no choice but to participate in our new culture of ignoring each other. Sherry Turkle is a big believer in this. She says, at home, families sit together, texting and reading email. In her mind, and in the minds of a lot of people, the technology is to blame for the behavior. David Banks says, both digital and non-digital technologies have the capacity to enable our most antisocial tendencies, or even cause those tendencies. Here, technology is being directly linked to the antisocial behavior. Sherry Turkle says, in today's workplace, young people who have grown up fearing conversation show up on the job wearing earphones. Again, technology causes the antisocialness. William Powers says, welcome to the 21st century. Without even realizing it, you've signed up for a life in which we're all connected all the time. The criticism is clearly of the technology and its apparent increasing influence over our lives. But if you think about it, who's doing the ignoring? Who's the one making the conscious choice to be on an app instead of talking to their grandma? Say I'm on a date, but I keep checking out other people. I see someone I find attractive and I'm looking at them. My date knows I'm doing this. I don't think anyone would really say it's the fault of the person who walked by, like maybe that person should have looked different when they were born so that I wouldn't look at them. I think most people would blame me because I made a choice to look at that person. Now, if you take the same situation, I'm still on a date, right? And you switch out the person with a phone, so now I'm on a date and I keep looking down at my phone, suddenly it becomes the phone's fault that I'm looking at it. No one would blame a person for being looked at, but yet we're still willing to blame a phone for being looked at. I know that there are differences between these two situations, but the argument I'm making is that those differences are not great enough to warrant this kind of dramatic change in blame. So kind of the main difference is the attraction factor. What I think about this is that people don't control attraction or who they are attracted to. So even if you are in a relationship, having a feeling of attraction is okay. The part of it where it becomes not okay is expressing it. The act of looking at another person and ignoring the person you're with is when it crosses the line, not when the feeling is had. The reason ignoring someone is hurtful has little to do with the motive for ignoring them, but more to do with the fact that you had a feeling to take your attention and put it somewhere else, and you didn't resist it for that person. The message that sends is that you either don't respect that person enough to try for them and resist doing something rude, or you don't care about them enough to hold your attention on them. Or it says that the thing drawing your attention is just so enticing, even if you put up a fair effort, you simply cannot control yourself. And this is probably the most common argument. Because phones are so unlike anything we've had before, and because they are man-made and artificial, people are making the claim that the average person cannot be expected to control themselves. I don't really agree with this. So, yes, phones are engineered to be gripping. There are tons of jobs solely focused on getting people to spend more time on their phones. But what people don't account for is the fact that a similar thing is true about humans. We have evolved over 200,000 years to be gripping and pull the attention of our fellow humans. But we still have a standard of self-control. where you cannot just look at whoever you want without paying a social price. And phones, they've only been evolving for 139 years. Cell phones only 40. So if we expect each other to stand up to 200,000 years and not look at people that we find attractive, why can't we stand up to 139? Honestly, I think we can. So making the case that phones are the cause of all these new social phenomenons where people ignore each other seems a little silly to me. If someone's the kind of person that would ignore you, phone or not, that's a part of them. The phone just brings that out and makes it really easy to see. We're born with a certain set of qualities, and if one of those qualities is, if I'm given the chance, I will ignore someone even if I care about them, that's just who you are. And you can't blame a phone for that, because a phone does not make you who you are. The real way to tackle the problem is not to get rid of all phones or limit phone use, because if you do that, a person that would ignore you by using their phone is just going to find another way to ignore you. The real way to deal with it is to not tolerate it. If you're going to ignore me for Flappy Bird, fine. You can have your Flappy Bird, and you can have it all by yourself, because everybody makes choices, and you just did.